Transferring schools, specifically for acting programs. I'm way too close to the camera, I'm sorry. There's a lot of information about applying to acting schools and getting in when you're either a freshman or coming out of college applying to a graduate acting program. But for transfers, there's really no information out there. Maybe there's more information out there now than when I was applying, but when I was applying to transfer schools, I didn't really know anything about the process. What was different, was the same. There really wasn't any information out there for me personally. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to list 3 things I think you should know if you're planning to transfer into an acting program. Number 1, certain schools only accept a certain amount of transfers every year. Now this may not come as a surprise to some of you, but for those of you who don't know, because you're in a smaller pool of applicants as transfers, as opposed to people who are applying straight out of high school, now while that might mean that you're competing with less people, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have an easier time getting into these programs. Remember guys, most acting programs in the United States at least accept around 20 to 30 people on average, and 30 is definitely on the higher end for sure. I know certain schools like Boston University and University of North Carolina School of the Arts typically take in around, I'd say, maybe 2 to 4 transfers at the absolute most a year. Doing some quick math here, 30% of 500 is 150. So on average, you're probably going to be having 150 applicants apply for 2 to 4 spots. That's not to mention the bigger schools that are probably going to have way more applicants, like Juilliard, Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and Yale. So that's all to say, it's not going to be a cakewalk if you're a transfer any more than it would be if you're applying from high school. When I was auditioning for Fordham, I found out that there were about 60 transfers applying just for the theater program. And out of those 60, they picked 2 people, myself and my friend Chloe. So just so you know up front, it's not going to be as easy as you might think applying as a transfer to acting programs. Number 2, most acting programs will probably make you stay the full 4 years. Again, some of you might be aware of this, but for those of you who are not, usually acting programs are very specialized. And with that, you have to take very specific classes that you wouldn't be able to just transfer into like you would, say, math or sciences or any other programs you might be able to transfer credits from other institutions. Most schools usually have a set regimen of how they want to train you year by year. And you transfer in, say, as a sophomore, you're probably going to have to start from square one if you want to get the full 4-year training program that you're signing up for. I know some schools offer accelerated programs where you can graduate within 2 or 3 years, but for the most part, if it's very conservatory style and you're coming from, say, another major or another school, they're probably going to make you do 4 years. Which leads me into number 3 on the list, which is, I think, the most important, financial aid. Or I should say, lack thereof. Undergrads have it really, really easy here when they're applying out of high school because you're offered scholarships, you're offered more money based off of your high school GPA and SAT scores and ACT scores. Not with transfers, buddy. At least this was the case for me. Now, it could be different for everybody. Certain schools might offer certain scholarships for artistic merit, but for the most part, the scholarship funds at most universities are saved for high school students applying straight for the undergraduate programs. Transfers usually get the short end of the stick, unfortunately. Me personally, I had to fight for the money with my family in order to get anything out of the school, and this is when I was actually on campus. Like, I had already started classes and everything. Now, do I regret going to Fordham? Absolutely not. But in terms of finances, it might be something to consider if you're applying as a transfer and your financial situations at home are not the greatest. Especially if you've already been in school 2, 3 years even from another university, maybe financial situations are something to consider for you. Maybe at that point you might as well just finish up your undergraduate degree and then apply straight to grad school. Most graduate MFA acting programs are cheaper and some are even free. But if you're really unhappy at your undergraduate program and you really want to transfer, I say go for it. I did. I followed my passion, and now it's led me to Fordham University, where I'm graduating this spring, unfortunately during COVID, but wouldn't regret it for anything in the world. I hope this was helpful for all the transfers applying out there, guys. I know it would have been helpful for me. Break all the legs moving into the next year, and I'll see you for the next video.